Unitarian Universalist congregation, we are glad that you are here. We especially welcome today's visitors, those in person and online. My name is Douglas Futch, and I do a whole bunch of stuff around here, but today I'm your worship associate, and I want to welcome you here personally because I'm glad to see you all. Unitarian Universalism is unambiguously, unapologetically progressive. This congregation affirms the inherent worth and dignity of all people through anti-racism, anti-oppression, support for the LGBTIA+ community, working for reproductive justice, voting rights, and other issues as the world calls us to side with love. We seek to build a beloved community not only here but in our surrounding areas. And we bring a spirit of joy to it all, like that song that got me all pumped up, which is why I'm talking so fast. It's so good to be together this morning. Now we pause to light our chalice. And thank you, Kelly Watts, for assisting. We light this chalice as a symbol of our shared Unitarian Universalism faith. We light this candle for the light of truth and reason, for the warmth of love and friendship, for the flame of strength and action, and for the vision of tolerance and justice. And now, in the spirit of love and the beloved community, let's greet and welcome each other to this new day as we share our congregational affirmation. We need not think alike to love alike. Let's greet and welcome each other to this new day. Those in the sanctuary, feel free to move around to offer greetings, and for those online, please use the chat to introduce yourselves.
The minister, Reverend David Miller, inspired these words today. Our opening words, today, and Unitarian Universalist congregations all over the world, we regather in an effort to live into, as best as we can, what we profess about placing love in the center of all we do. And what a magnificent challenge this is. We are living in times baiting us not to love. The social and political atmosphere in which we travel insidiously tempts us to find fault and place blame and point fingers and increase that which tears us apart. And yet we practice a faith, often imperfectly because we are all human, but we continue to practice a faith where we are called to answer the question, what is the most loving thing I can do right now? What an astounding challenge. What an unbelievably vital attempt. What an incredibly needed beacon for us all. So we gather today in support of each other in living this mission. May the light of our flaming chalice breathe life and love into all of those who are here and online, who by the very nature of our calling of being together, we have this great and wonderful opportunity to live into these days with so much struggle and so much possibility. May this be so. We're going to sing now together a simple and joyful hymn that brings to light for me childhood and joy. We're going to sing This Little Light of Mine. It's 118 if you need the lyrics. Will be up here, and 118 if you need the music in the book. Thanks.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Kathy Middleman, and if you don't recognize me, we're going to take a couple of minutes this morning to learn some truths and some falsehoods, some myths about the Emerson Choir. And so I'll just read some statements, and you decide if they are true or false, and the choir will help you with these answers. So, number one, singers are great partiers. Number two, on Sunday mornings, the choir gets dais seating. Yeah. Number three, science repeatedly shows that singing in a group has all kinds of health benefits, both mental and physical. Number four, we laugh a lot. Number five, this one just got me. We take care of one another. Number six, our songs and their lyrics become part of our spiritual journeys. Number seven, singing in the choir is a great way to serve your faith and your congregation. Number eight, Wednesday night rehearsals are fun. I made them practice that one. The rest they haven't heard, but I made them practice that one to make sure they got it right. Number nine, you have to be able to read music to be a good choir member. Number 10, if you have never sung in a choir before, you probably shouldn't start now. Number 11, only certain types of voices are permitted in our choir. And number 12, we serve snacks at every Wednesday rehearsal. No, actually, we don't serve snacks at every Wednesday rehearsal, although thank you for trying to cover. However, this Wednesday night, we will be serving snacks, because this Wednesday night, we've decided to do an invitational choir rehearsal where you have to have a ticket and an invitation to get in. No, you don't. But you do have a ticket. It's in your order of service. And if you're online, you don't need a ticket. You never need a ticket. It's just a thing. And everybody is invited. We're trying to run this rehearsal this Wednesday. Listen, let's be clear. All of our Wednesday night rehearsals are open to anybody who wants to come anytime. But this Wednesday, we're going to run some snacks ahead of time, do a little bit of an invitation so that if you've ever thought about being in the choir but you don't want to be the only new person that night, this Wednesday's the time to come. So at 7 o'clock, we'll have snacks in here, and then from 7:30 to 9, like always, we'll have a regular rehearsal. And we hope that if you have ever considered maybe joining the choir, you will come and try us out. Or if you've ever just thought, maybe I'd like to be out of the house one night a week, come try us out. If you've ever just kind of wondered what we do for 90 minutes on a Wednesday night, come try us out. And there is no obligation. If you hate it, you never have to come back. And that's okay, because we will still cherish you and value you as listeners, which we need desperately as well. Now, there's never an audition to get into the Emerson Choir, but I did think it would be a good idea to test your voices a little bit. So you have a song in your order of service. It will be sung to the tune of, "Do your ears hang low? Do they wobble too?" Right? You can sing it with that. And let's just go ahead and see what is required of your voice in the Emerson Choir.
Does your voice go low? Does it wobble to and fro? Can you sing a loo-loo-loo? Can you sing a no-no-no? Can you straighten up your shoulders while you juggle up like Holder? Does your voice go low? Does your voice go high? Will it soar into the sky? Can you wish someone hello? Can you sing someone goodbye? Do you want to come inspire with a fun and joyful choir? Does your voice go high?
See, you all have exactly what it takes to be in the Emerson Choir, and we hope some of you will come try us out this Wednesday or anytime you can. Thank you.
Good morning. Okay, thank you, Douglas. So now we're going to pause and reflect on matters of the heart. Thank you, Douglas, for joining me. For this morning's ritual, we have water and we have river stones. The stones are smooth and the stones have weight. They're indicative of both life's pleasures and times of ease, as well as life's burdens and times of heaviness. The water receives these stones with ease and calmness. Each week, you're invited to write a joy, sorrow, or concern in this book. I lost my spot. 1 second. In this book. Yeah. Or email to pastoralcare@emersonuu.org to be read. If you're online, we invite you to recreate this at home. You place a stone in a bowl of water to honor what is in your heart. We begin by placing 4 stones. The first stone is in honor of the Cherokee and Muskogee nations of indigenous peoples who lived here before us. The second stone for those wrongly enslaved here who labored on this land. The third stone is for all of those hurting in current conflicts across our globe. And the fourth stone is for all of those killed or injured by gun violence across this country. So within our community, today we're going to share a joy. And this is from Andrew Jean-Pierre. Yeah. And this is, my wife, Kaylin, is home from staying in the hospital this week. She should be 100% better by Tuesday. And I mean, if there's something that you're not willing to share, you can we just drop one more stone in, or gently lay it in, rather, for anybody who has something that they're not so sure that they're ready to share yet. And in thankful awareness, let's say the Buddhist prayer of loving kindness. Please read the words with me that are printed in your order of service, and I think they might be on the screen as well. May we all be filled with loving kindness. May we all be free from harm and suffering. May we all be well in body, heart, and mind. May we all be at peace. Blessed be.
Unitarian Universalism is a faith often referred to as one of deeds, not creeds. How we show up in the world is how we live our faith. One way we seek to do this is by partnering with other organizations who work to bring love, kindness, and justice to the world. Each month, Emerson chooses an organization to support with half of our collected donations. During the month of September, we are supporting the Cobb County Democracy Center, a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization here in our community. They offer town halls, virtual info sessions, and focus groups to help citizens, leaders, and community members navigate state and local government, engage with elected officials, government agencies, public commissions, and boards. The Cobb County Democracy Center serves as a hub for community forums and educational opportunities on a variety of important issues such as affordable housing, redistricting, voting rights protection, access to medical and mental health care, access to reproductive health care, public safety, access to quality education, and issues surrounding food insecurity. And of course, as we head into this election, they help people to register and encourage folks to get out and vote. For those in the sanctuary, as the basket is passed, please feel free to offer a donation or see in your order of service other ways to give. For those online, go to emersonuu.org, select the Giving tab to donate. All donations, unless otherwise specified, are shared equally between Emerson and our partner organization.
Hello. Good morning, everybody. I have a story for all ages. So, with the young and the young at heart, it looks like most of you are already here, but if anybody else out there didn't get the invitation, the young and the young at heart, welcome to come up and hear a story. So, the first time I came to Emerson, I liked a whole lot of things about what I saw when I first came here. But one of my favorite parts of that first service I attended was the lighting of the chalice. Did you guys know that the ritual of lighting a chalice at the beginning of a service was one that came from a youth-led service sometime in the late 1970s? So we wouldn't be doing this every Sunday if it had not been for the youth back then. So that was you guys that thought of this idea of lighting a chalice at the beginning, and the adults were like, hey, look what the youth did in their service. We need to do that all the time. So now many churches, UU churches, do that every Sunday because of you guys. The other reason I love the chalice is because it can mean many things to each of us. This is a story about a girl named Jennifer and what the chalice means to her, and it's called A Light Where It's Dark by J. Ward Jacoby. Jennifer liked a lot of things. She liked reading, playing lacrosse, anything to do with outer space and stars, and she had 2 very good friends she hung out with whenever she could. But every week, the thing she liked best was Sunday mornings with her family. At her church, there was always music and singing, and everyone was always very nice. She loved story time. Who doesn't love story time? Especially if the story had any animals in it. Those were her favorites. She also loved the time right after the service when everyone gathered to eat cookies, chips, lemonade, and way more things than she could ever try. But she always tried to anyway. But Jennifer's favorite part of the Sunday at her UU church, just like me, was when they lit the chalice. Everyone gets quiet, a few words are said, and then someone would put a flame inside a big double circle, and it was lit. It felt like magic to her. Here was this mysterious circle with what looked like a little boat at the bottom, now had a flame flickering inside it, and everyone in the room seemed to know that it was time for something special to happen. She wasn't sure why she could feel this special something, but she knew it was there. One Sunday, after her mother noticed how much Jennifer enjoyed that part, she asked her, "Would you like to be a chalice lighter?" Jennifer shook her head and said, "No, I don't think so. What if I miss and it doesn't light? What if I trip on the way up the stairs? Or what if I light at the wrong time? No, I don't think so." But she was very happy to sit in her seat and watch other kids do it. That night, after Jennifer had gone to bed and was about to go to sleep, a loud thunderstorm started up. Her dark room was suddenly lit up by lightning, and then a few seconds later, the thunder would rumble and boom. Jennifer tried to ignore it and just go to sleep, but it was too bright and loud and scary. Every time the lightning flashed and the thunder clapped, she hoped with all her might that it would be the last one, but then another one would happen. She suddenly remembered her teacher had said that you can tell if a storm is getting closer or further away by counting the lightning between the lightning and the thunder. If you can count higher each time, the storm is moving away. If your count gets shorter, then the storm is getting closer. Right after the next lightning flash came, Jennifer began to count and got all the way to 20. Oh, that seems pretty far away, she thought, and breathed a sigh of relief. That was followed by a few minutes when Jennifer thought it was all over. She was finally about to fall asleep when another bright flash of lightning lit her room up. She started counting and only got to 7 before the booming thunder rolled overhead and shook the house. Only a minute later, another flash of lightning happened, and she barely got to 3 before Jennifer scrambled out of bed and ran down the hall to her parents' room. "The storm is getting closer," she said to them as they stirred from their sleep. "Are we going to be okay?" "Of course we are," her mother said. "I know it's loud and the lightning is bright, but it's just a summer thunderstorm." But Jennifer was unconvinced and too scared to go back to bed. The last time this happened, Jennifer's father had ordered a star-shaped nightlight just for Jennifer's room, and he remembered it now. "I've got just the thing to help," he said. "Come on, Jenny, you're going to love this." He took her hand and walked her back down the hall. There was more lightning and thunder as they went back to her room. And she clutched her father's hand more tightly, wondering what on earth could make this better. She watched as her father bent down to plug in the light. The lightning flashed and the thunder rolled over the house. And now the rain started to fall. The angry-sounding drops pelted the window as she put her arm around her dad's shoulders. Then he switched the nightlight on. It didn't light up the whole room, but there was enough now so that when the lightning flashed, it didn't seem nearly as scary. And if she looked at it when the thunder happened, it didn't seem nearly as scary either. Hello. I hope this makes you feel better, he said as he tucked her in. The storm won't last all night, but while it's happening, they can be scary, so just look at the light. She rolled onto her side so she could face the star-shaped nightlight. When there was lightning or thunder, she opened her eyes, and the first thing she saw was that little light in the dark, and it kept her from feeling afraid. As she stared at it, instead of thinking about the storm, now she was reminded of her grandmother's Christmas tree and the star on top. She recalled the moment she had seen the beautiful tree. It had all sorts of shiny ornaments on it, golden garlands, and a star on top. Jennifer was stunned by how beautiful it was. "Oh, Grandma," she'd said, "your tree is so pretty." "Thank you, Jenny," she replied, "but wait till you see this." As she bent down, and Jennifer heard a soft click as her grandmother turned on the lights. Except for the white star on top, they were all red, gold, and green. Some sparkled, some glowed, and some twinkled. The tree that was dark moments ago was now magically illuminated. The star on top was filled with a warm white light that looked a lot like her new nightlight, and she drifted off to sleep, forgetting all about the storm and not feeling scared at all. A few days later, about the time that the rain that fell that night had almost dried up, Jennifer's poor little cat, Henry, got stuck under the porch, and she didn't know what to do. She could hear him meowing, but it was too dark under there to see where he was. Her mom came out and turned on her phone flashlight, and they crawled in together. With the aid of the light, Jennifer saw Henry with his collar hooked on some rolled-up fencing next to a broken wheelbarrow. She crawled right over to him, got him unhooked, and they went inside so she could give Henry a bowl of milk to cheer him up. The next Sunday at church, when the chalice was lit, Jennifer finally realized there were several reasons why the chalice made her feel so special. It makes a light where there's dark, she thought. Just like my nightlight, the chalice lets everyone know that this is a safe place, no matter how much noise and scary stuff is happening outside. And like Grandma's Christmas tree, the chalice adds magic and illumination to the world. And like when I rescued Henry, the chalice shines a light on anyone who needs help. At the end of church that day, Jennifer asked her mom to sign her up to be a chalice lighter. And when the first day came for her to do it, she walked right up the steps without tripping, and just as the minister read the special words, she added the flame to the chalice. Jennifer was so happy. It was her chance to be the one to bring the special light to this Sunday morning, and she hoped it would make everyone there feel as safe and happy as she had when someone added a light when she needed it. Okay, so we stand and sing our song of dedication. Thanks very much for Christy helping me with the thunder and Bruce for the musical cues.
Thank you. We come to the time of prayer and meditation. And for many of us, it's a time to sit with others and take a deep breath, and to feel the warmth of community and silence after. This prayer today is for every place broken by violence and hatred, for every person in pain or grief, and for you and for me in sorrow and in hope. These words are by Jan Richardson, and it is titled, Blessing in a Time of Violence. Which is to say, this blessing is always. Which is to say, there is no place that this blessing does not long to cry out and lament, to weep its words in sorrow, to scream its lines in rage. Which is to say, there is no day that this blessing ceases to whisper in the ear of the dying, the despairing, and the terrified. Which is to say, that there is no moment that this blessing refuses to sing itself into the heart of the hated and the hateful, the victim and the victimizer, with every last ounce of hope it has. Which is to say, there is none that can stop it, none that can halt its course, none that can still its cadence, none that will delay its rising, none that can keep it from springing forth from the mouths of all of us who hope, from the hands of us who act, from the hearts of us who love, and from the feet of us who will not cease our stubborn, aching, marching, and marching. Marching until this blessing has spoken its final word, until this blessing hath breathed its benediction. In every place, in every tongue, the blessing is peace, peace, peace. May it be so for all of us and everywhere. Amen.
Peace all over this world.
Two readings today as we prepare for the sermon. The first by Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. from 1956. By our silence, by our willingness to compromise principle, by our readiness to allow arms to be purchased at will and fired at whim, by allowing our movie and television screens to teach our children that the hero is the one who masters the art of shooting and the technique of killing, by allowing all these developments, we have created an atmosphere in which violence and hatred have become popular pastimes. The next by Reverend Denise Cawley. Human nature holds a tension between the interest of the self and of others. In fact, the theology of Unitarian Universalism professes that the needs of the community need to come before the needs of one individual. That is why we are a covenantal faith. We seek the power of the community being the place to call one another back into our best selves and to work in the community to create an interdependent web of humankind.
Our chalice has been a symbol from the beginning of resilience and justice. Here today we gather and we remember those killed and injured by gun violence in our country just this week. Miles from here in Winder, Georgia, and just yesterday in Kentucky along a road by a stranger. Our hearts are heavy. We are angry and bewildered. And it is in times such as these that our chalice remains a talisman of who we are called to be in the world. I wondered, as I prepared for this sermon today, if I would say too much in front of the children that are here, but you know what? You have so much to teach us. You are already experiencing those things in your own school and in your own lives. And I want you to know you are not alone. If you are feeling hard feelings about things that happen, such as the things that happened this past week, we are here for you and we love you. When things like this happen, I think of our Unitarian Universalist theology of evil. I turn to the writings of Reverend Dr. William F. Schultz. He worked in the field of human rights for much of his adult life. He was the former president of our Unitarian Universalist Association. After that, he became an executive director of Amnesty International in the USA office. And then he became the president of the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. So when he writes something, I know it's coming from experience of things that he has seen firsthand. He reflects, Unitarian Universalists have had relatively little to say about the concept of evil over the generations. And this is partly because we have spent our energy reassuring each other that human beings are fundamentally good and that those good impulses will ultimately prevail. May it be so. However, this theology is partly true because we have abandoned those traditional Christian ideas of sin and salvation, and we have to build new, deep theological tools in which we meet the things that happen. Because as he has seen, he writes, and as we have seen, cruelty is real. So he asks, how do we understand cruel acts and what do we do about them? Ultimately, our answers need to be political and theological and personal and corporate. And along with the intimations of goodness, evil lies coiled in every human heart, latent in every human experience and enterprise. And the goal is not to vanquish it, he says. That is too much to hope for, but to temper it and name the phenomenon. Naming it is always the first step towards taming it. I appreciate what he has to say. However, right now, today, with my cheeks still red from these feelings, I understand what he's saying. But my heart calls out. I want to do more than tame and temper evil. I want my children, your children, all children to be able to safely go to school, period.
Amen.
I want to be able to drive down the road and get my groceries home before the ice cream melts. I want for all of us to live in a safe world, and when a week like this comes into reality, we are quick to think of it as evil, and it is. Kathy Schmitz, another Unitarian Universalist minister, reminds us that too often such evil is imagined to have arisen fully formed out of nowhere. But in truth, most acts have a context, and our quick labeling them as evil can dull us to the complexities of how it got to the point when it did. We as individuals are formed by a web of social and personal relationships, as well as a larger cultural environment. All of this leads to a greater health and to brokenness. And no matter how profound that brokenness, the way in which we will express it is greatly influenced by the amount of love and support that we have experienced in our lives. She continues boldly to say an absence of love creates fertile soil in which the seeds of hate and anger can take root and grow into such evil acts. Humans, by good nature, are capable of good, yes. It is our role of our social institutions, including the family, our religious institutions, such as this blessed place here, and our government, to inspire such good. Health breeds health. And if we are to build a world in which we can dream of, we must take seriously the task of creating social structures that promote health and healthy living at all levels of humanity. I know this up here, and I feel this here. And in recognition, today we lit that chalice, and we cry, and we reflect, and we prayed, and we meditated for all of us. because this ritual for me, and hopefully for all of us here, is the foundation of calling us together in our faith as a community. I want to share with you how the symbol of the chalice came to be. Some of you who grew up in Unitarian Universalism or came to it and taught in RE might know this story. We are the Unitarian Universalists, the church of the open mind, the loving hearts, and the helping hands. How simple is that? I grew up at a time in Unitarian Universalism when lighting the chalice was just starting, like the story that Jeffrey shared. It was started in the religious education program, the act of lighting a chalice. And for me, that ritual became a part that was central to the service. And yes, as a kid, I was a chalice lighter too. It is a symbol of the covenant we hold with each other based on the relationship that we have and the things we want to bring out in the world. As a Unitarian Universalist, I have often thought about the importance of ritual in creating meaning and our identity in our religious movement. And as a liberal faith tradition that eschews common creeds, because we do not have to believe the same things to sit here side by side. But as we come together and we build a relationship between us based on love and respect, we form a bond. And the lighting of the chalice is a reminder of that. So, where did that ritual start? Where did this symbol come from? You might not know that this chalice, usually in a circle with a wide bowl at the bottom, is part of a movement that started during World War II. The cover of your order of service has the actual symbol that I'll be referring to, and I want you to see it. We've seen chalices in all sorts of designs, but this was the first vision of that. The cup itself came from the Christian heritage of a cross and a cup, and that chalice itself is something that dates back thousands of years. But a flaming chalice is something that was special to this symbol. Within the Unitarian Service Committee, there was a social justice organization that was formed during World War II, specifically to help Jews and others escape Nazi persecution in Europe. The vessel of the chalice is one of the oldest symbols, but the combination of that drinking vessel and the flame and a circle is the design of an artist, Hans Deutsch, in 1941. And he was commissioned to draw this. He was commissioned by the Unitarian Service Committee because in Lisbon, Portugal, at the office of the Service Committee, they needed stationery. And let me tell you why. In Lisbon, the only open port in Europe in the early 1940s, millions of refugees were going through this port to flee the Nazi regime. And the Unitarian Service Committee was doing all they could to help. They were helping artists and intellectuals and scientists and dissidents and people who were in the LGBT community at that time. And so with joy, they worked to help people from all walks of life to get through the port. And as the refugees were fleeing through these ports, they needed papers in order to say that they were a safe person to be let through. So he said in a letter describing this to the Boston office of the Unitarian Service Committee, "We are now issuing certificates to pass immigrants to the New World through the British blockade with fake letters." He said these letters, in order to be official looking, needed a seal. And so he asked somebody, an artist, to create a logo to make it look as official as possible. And the Austrian refugee artist working in Lisbon, a Jewish refugee himself, created it. And the result was that flaming chalice that you see on your order of service. He wrote in a letter home this description of that drawing. He said, "As you see a chalice with a flame, that kind of chalice which the Greeks and Romans put on their altars with holy oil burning in it, is a symbol of helpfulness and sacrifice. In ancient and medieval art, this chalice is frequently found and designed itself, but here it is modernized and stylized, and it reminds one of the signs seen on old monastic manuscripts." You can tell he was an artist in mind. He said, "The letters that we are sending are not just for those who are Christian or Jewish or dissident or scientist. It is for all who need and seek freedom. It is about sacrificial love." When I said that our chalice has been a symbol of transformation, a symbol of freedom, a symbol of seeking justice, I say that back to its original beginnings. Unitarian Universalists have many interpretations of the chalice. Some say the cup comes from the chalice. Some say the flame goes back to Greek mythology. But what it goes back to is a symbol of seeking justice. Reverend Terry Davis reflects that we have many rituals in our community, certainly. Not lighting a chalice might not be the only one. And maybe for you, when you come together, you give each other hugs and smiles, and you see each other after long absences. And these rituals themselves are a part of community. Sometimes pouring coffee is a ritual that we do together in our very, very cramped fellowship hall. So, I'm skipping through here. To come to the point that our chalice, since the beginning, has been a symbol of resistance and justice, and here together today. I didn't know that months ago when Kathy and I got together to plan the schedule of what we were going to sing about was a sermon and a song that needed to be heard. How sad that everything aligned to the point that we needed to sing about peace this week. So as we have gathered with heavy hearts and thoughts of anger and bewilderment, I hope that by coming together and being here side by side, that you have found a reminder of what it means to be together as we seek good. To be in a community that seeks to change the world one day at a time by holding love at the center. And may we together as Unitarian Universalists remember the sacred origin of that symbol and keep its message of hope and justice and compassion alive through our words and deeds every day together. May it be so. Let's sing together. There is more love number 95. I think we found that place where love and hope and peace and joy are found. And it's in the person next to you, right here, today. My heart is moved by all I cannot save. So much has been destroyed, writes Adrian Rich. And I have cast my lot with those who age after age perversely, with no extraordinary power, reconstitute the world with love. Kelly, would you help me put out the chalice? We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world until we are together again. Thank you.
So a few announcements. First off, remember next Saturday, September 14th, is all the committee meetings. We're meeting here, do you remember what time? 10 o'clock a.m. on next Saturday for the committee meetings. Then please put on your calendar for October 5th is our work day, so we can get some beautification of our building and grounds. That is going to be for the whole congregation. And then we're hearing from some of the cottage meeting hosts that they're struggling to get you to respond to the scheduling requests. So please, if you have heard from your cottage meeting host, reach back out to them so that they can get the meetings scheduled. Those are all planned to be completed by the end of the month. And then I'm just going to say, I'm going to teach you history again today. You all ditched me for Alex Douglas last month, so this week you can come. And as our service ends, go now in peace and take peace wherever you go.